I think failure is a very important and crucial, the part that makes a success ultimately happen. You had to hide who you were, suppress a lot of things because you could only portray a certain part. I think has had a big influence. While the drive to succeed makes you very acute to observing people and people's reactions to you, but also for you to observe them and where their insecurities also might lie.
I walk past you at Woolworths, you're like, girl. When do you see patients fail themselves?
The most dangerous, life-threatening potential. You can inject that into the big blood vessels and lead to a fat embolism, which is a potential fatal condition. Always do something that you have been wanting to do, then it will bring you joy.
Dr. Deon, you are here.
Indeed, I am.
I am so delighted you are here.
It's great to be.
We met at a friend's birthday
Indeed,
lunch,
yes.
and I was glued to you.
I was almost like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, exactly. It's not often that one goes to a lunch and they sit next to a plastic surgeon.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was quite exciting for me.
Well, I'm glad. It was equally to me. It was wonderful meeting
I'm
you.
so grateful you're here. I like exploring why people say yes to my invitation to talk about failure. When my request popped up,
Yes.
how did you react, and
How
what
did I
made you
react?
say yes?
I thought this is an interesting one, but hey,
Yeah.
let's go for it.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that. I mean, because it
Yeah.
needs talking about.
Yeah.
I was quite intrigued, and I think it is valuable to
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah, brilliant. What is failure to Dr. Deon?
Well, actually, then, and after getting the heading of the brief, or the podcast rather, should I say, I think failure is a very crucial part of everyday life. And obviously, you say cheers to the failures because we're so glued on the success, which is, actually just such a small part of all the failures that culminate to bring you to a certain point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, and that is when you actually go down, you sit and you think about it. Yes, that's definitely needs to be celebrated as well.
Yeah.
It's not to say that one should necessarily just go and fixate on the failures, but to know that it's a very important and crucial and the part that makes a success ultimately happen.
Growing up, how has your definition of failure changed? Because, the Dr. Deon who was 20
Yes.
and the Dr. Deon who was 30.
Yes.
Yeah, how's that evolved?
Well, actually, it started even before that, I would say, because, and this is quite, even before that, growing up, failure, in my setting was being homosexual, and it's something that I had to hide,
Yeah.
very much in growing up, and that brought you to a very specific level of succeeding. You couldn't fail. You had to hide who you were, and suppress a lot of things because you could only portray a certain part of what people perceived as what you needed to be, and which was not gay.
Yes.
That's all changed and gone now. But that I think has had a big influence to, the drive to succeed, and that has brought me where I am now as well. But definitely at a younger age, was a whole different ball game to failure now.
Yeah.
And failure now is like we say, part of the process.
What did you learn in sharing who you are in the world with honesty and your truth? What did you learn about who Deon is?
Well, I think it's the one thing I can say in those times is that it makes you very acute to observation and observing people and people's reactions to you, but also for you to observe them, and where their insecurities also might lie, which in the realm of cosmetic surgery and what I do, is a very big part to it, actually. And to be able to be on, I find, after experiencing that, to be on a level with patients where that part is not almost relevant. And this is to boost one and to bring out that self-confidence that is there, and that's heighten their self-esteem by them enjoying their bodies and restoring some things that life might have robbed from them in a way, age and pregnancies.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the business that you do, which is cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery.
Yes.
And how you process the journey with clients. Because we were just talking offline that there's usually a level of impatience for change. And I want to see the results quickly. I am going to gym. I have consulted a dietitian, but I'm not losing weight. I'm not shaping my body up in the way that I want with speed. How do you walk the journey with a client so that one, they can know that you may be a magician, but you will do your thing.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, patience and just allowing time to recover is required.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I think there is often a misconception that when patients come, they almost see the before and the after, and they see that for themselves already, and but they don't know about the at least 6 weeks journey that is waiting, and it's some of the surgeries are very tough. I can say that. I mean, it takes a lot out of patients, and myself, the team at the practice, we're all geared to support that. And a patient can ask you, is this the same as a cesarean section? And then, it's quite different. I'm talking about, let's say, a liposuction procedure and a tummy tuck, because that's kind of the frame of reference. And it's quite different because there's not this bundle of joy coming into the world. It's not everyone wants to see the baby. It's like something you want to keep private. And it's surgery that initially takes away a lot of your independence when it comes to things that you take for granted, getting in and out of a car, getting in and out of a chair, the ease that it is to just mobilize, to be mobile, which is a basic, everyday taken for granted for occurrence. But so it is there to support the process, but also to really, from the beginning of the consultation, to really explain to the patient exactly what it is that you're about to embark on and what you are going to do to them, basically, from a surgical point of view. But often then I find, like you said, patients are not very patient.
Yes, patients are not very patient.
But it's very much I think when it comes to the 6-week part and patients are, and they then see the transformation, the cocoon basically going to a butterfly, for lack of a better example. And then for them to reflect back on those 6 weeks and the energy that it did take. I mean, I must say I have an unbelievable team. I can't do this alone. And I guess they gyrate off energy but they are amazing. And to see that, when the relationships that they've had with some of the people that in that 6 week time is amazing to see. And it's a journey. And I think it's more than just the before and after then result. It is the completion of that process. You see patients come to consultations looking so, they don't dress inappropriately, but they're wearing whatever they now can wear with so much more confidence, and they just radiate it. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. When have you seen clients fail themselves? Because, I know this myself, that the first year after surgery, everything is intact.
Yes.
My stomach is flat.
Yes.
And then 3 years later, I walk past you at Woolworths. You're like, girl, what happened? Your stomach is back.
When did patients fail themselves?
When do you see patients fail themselves?
Yes.
And how do you guide them mentally so that they don't go back, or they actually navigate in a way that is almost there's a routine that has to change.
Yes.
There is a way of living that they have to keep
Yes.
and commit to. Yeah.
So I think that is explained a lot with a consultation and in the process and with a team initially. But you are right that it's easy to lose that perspective unless someone is engaged again. And then, like you say, it's more than a year. You see them walking in a mall, and you're like, oh, things have obviously not kept in the same manner. I do think the intensity of the journey is enough for people, hopefully. And with them, there are multiple interactions up to 6 months at least afterwards, at regular occasions with a patient, where all of this is reinforced. But you do often even then have patients who you might not penetrate to, and maybe that is a point to look at. But where it's almost perceived like, oh, well, if I gain more fat, just in a year's time I'll come for more liposuction, and you can suck that out. And but I do think for the majority of patients, the impact of the surgery and then to say, well, this is now your investment going forward.
And it's not cheap.
It's not. It's not
doing the procedures. It's quite
Yes.
expensive. Yeah.
It's financially
Yes.
not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's also risk and what you expose yourself to, also not cheap, and which is a part that people don't often take. People see the financial cost of it as well, but it is a lot that you are putting yourself through, and hopefully with a surgeon then that respects that and that has respect for that, and but yes, it isn't cheap, and then to have that investment serve you going forward. It is a bit of I think I never knew that pregnancy related issues or was going to be such a big part of what I do. But if you see the havoc that 9 months can wreak on an individual, maybe not always so bad, but sometimes, and how it changes that person and how they feel. They need to cover up, and you can see they came from somewhere where they weren't used to having that body. But so it's nice to see that transformation, and then those are the cases where you can feel really the connection, where patients know that to take care of this now, and then the rewarding ones are really the ones who just further it. You can see they really enjoy it and they maintain it, and they just look better even over time.
Yeah, I must say, when I had my second child, I made a decision that I would have to do surgery to adjust my breasts, to clean up my, the tummy area, so that I could have my confidence back.
Yes.
And I remember, and I want to explore psychologically how, when I look at myself in the mirror, there was a time I was at work, this is many, many years back, I wore a shirt and I had buttoned, the top 2 buttons were open. I looked at my bust and I was like, horrified. I don't like this. Yes. I left during my lunch break. I went to a lingerie store. I bought a new bra. I put it on in the change room. I went back to my desk. Yes. But I found there was never any amount of new bras that would keep the shape of bust I wanted.
Yes.
And that's when I realized, actually, I need to give myself this.
Yes.
Psychologically, what do you experience when people are looking at their bodies and saying to you, I'm not happy with what I see?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I don't know where they always came from. But when I start talking to them, I delve into that and I find out, and you just, like I said, you find out that this is a body that they have not, that things changed often. The first thing in my consultations, if I ask, when did you start feeling these insecurities? It's the date goes back to that first pregnancy where it started, and things just escalated from there. I think that is, but it is psychologically there. Then I must say I'm very much part of the hope and the change and the process now for them that they've decided to go for surgery, and that they are that they're excited to further this journey and to undergo surgery with the positives. So, but I think that equally said to that, often that change can be so instant that maybe on a deeper level, further work needs to be done. Because often I would then, at maybe a follow-up visit where it wasn't a consideration before, patients might start saying, what do you think of my arms now? And, start referring to something which wasn't there at the beginning of the first consultation. So there's almost like a psychological, high that is achieved from the instant result of, let's say, a tummy with breast. And now they want to have that constant, and then it becomes something to navigate. And then to say, look, this wasn't there initially. I think you need to go to gym. I think you need to enjoy the breast and the tummy. And then we can maybe have a talk again if it's necessary.
Men are also doing a lot of surgery.
Yes, indeed.
What is the biggest, so we kind of, are aware that with women after having children, that it usually is the spark of, okay, my body has changed, I need to do some corrections. For men, what is the source that triggers, I want to walk into Dr. Deon's office now?
So if it is men in their own, so I have two types of male patients.
Tell us.
The male patients who kind of just arrange a consultation in their own right, and then males whose female partners or partners have had surgery done and then come to the practice that way. So the males tend to come for liposuction, basically. I would say that body contouring liposuction, maybe around the tummy, maybe around the chest, even high definition liposuction, six-pack sculpting. But maybe some finer facial aging as well. But
hairline corrections.
Thank goodness I don't see a lot of those. But it's probably because I'm not known too much for hairline.
For that,
but yes, that. And then it seems like genital enhancements and sexual wellness and enhancements is coming. That's more the males who have had surgery. They whose partners have had surgery. They now have somehow found a new lease on life and now also want some contouring, but says, can you do anything in that part as well, just to enhance that part of the...
Okay.
So those are basically the majority of the male surgeries,
And do you find that people hide the jobs they've done, or do they talk openly about it? Because, so here's what I was confronted with when I did my surgery. I knew I needed to take time off work.
Yes.
And the time off work is quite a lot of time off.
Yes.
So I have to tell someone that I'm going for surgery.
Of course.
And because there was nothing medically wrong with me, then the question becomes,
what's
so
long?
Wrong?
Yeah.
Why are you going why are you going to be in theatre?
Yes.
Then I had to share with, my boss, my PA, a few friends that, I'm getting a few things done.
Yes.
Are you finding the secrecy and the privacy still a thing?
Yes.
Or are people, the Kardashians and
more
all
open.
reality shows we see from the US and the UK have kind of made it like just common conversation.
Yes. I definitely, I think that within the influencer realm, there where you're supposed to, like you mentioning the Kardashians, where you're supposed to have that openness, I find that after, it's not even beforehand that it would be out in the open, but in their journey, it is very much, if I then had to look at afterwards how they post, let's say after their surgeries, and that it's relegated to exercise, or it's relegated to, some new shake or something that's been used. So yes, I think there is still, unfortunately, because that's where you'd want to have the openness come from, is the people that influence. You look at that, can you imagine someone thinking that that body has now been achieved just by cutting out something, and they're not getting to that point because they drink all the shake and they.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. There is still very much in South Africa anyway, a stigma,
Yeah.
which hasn't really, I think, been dropped all that much, and I don't know why.
Yeah. And how do you handle clients who just have huge dreams?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and you got to walk them back. Like,
Yes.
just let's take it slow.
Yes.
You may have seen your favorite, I don't know, actress, actor, wherever that idea comes from.
Yes. I mean, something that I must say is reassuring to a great extent is the fact that I do think that a lot of patients who come seem to think that when you show them a picture, they're not as bad, okay? Where actually you think, okay, no, I think you're pretty much in the same par, but that's a good thing to be in that mental state. But then also comes the expectation of outcome and expectation of result. And it could be someone that, if you then think about it, if you want to use that word, could have been worse off than what they presented with. But their whole history, their whole makeup, their age, the other illnesses they might have might be completely different. So managing the expectation, I must say, is a big part of being a plastic surgeon. I definitely think in my view.
Yeah.
Because you have to align, be on the same page as to what can be achieved. And I don't think majority of patients are able, if they haven't had that, they don't come with necessarily expectations has increased actually a little bit, I must say, over the past couple of years, decade or so, changed, but it's just setting the bar higher. But I think luckily you can bring someone into a reasonable mind.
Yeah.
If you aren't, that is the patient that I would rather not postpone, but have another consultation with.
Okay.
And until we are aligned as to what realistically is going to be achieved and what can be achieved in one surgery.
Yeah. And what can go wrong? What are the risks? Because I find, for example, I mean, I joke and I say to my friends and my partner, like, oh, you watch when I turn 50, I'm going to do this and do that.
Yes.
And they're like, no, but I think there's like a fear that what if things go wrong?
Yes.
And so what can go wrong?
So, I mean, you can list up the potential complications of surgery now, and yes, you can. It can potentially be fatal. I mean, it's not for no reason that a BBL has been termed the most dangerous, life-threatening potential cosmetic surgery.
Really?
And that's due to.
That.
Remember, BBL, Brazilian butt lift, means we take fat from around the buttocks through liposuction, extracting that, already enhancing the buttocks that way, and then process that fat and re-inject it into the buttocks. And if it's re-injected unsafely, you can inject that into the big blood vessels in the buttock muscles that can travel up to the heart and the circulation, the lungs, and lead to a fat embolism, which is a potential fatal condition. So, I mean, those scares are there. The ones that I think are more common that patients might not be aware of. Well, firstly is what the procedure comes with without complications.
Yeah.
It's just the intensity of the procedure and the effect of that. So mindset needs to be right. And I have seen patients where if their mindset before surgery wasn't right, they'd be going through stress, or they're doing it for, I don't know, to salvage a relationship or something like that, where that then it's more likely to lead to complications and struggles.
Yeah.
But wound breakdown, wound healing problems, patients with uncontrolled medical conditions, those are the ones, or smokers, or lifestyle. We are seeing the Ozempic, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but the peptide injectables and the effects of what that has also on potentially, well, not only leading up to surgery, but also afterwards in terms of having resources. So and the effect of that in plastic surgery. So that's also something that's coming about now, that's still being explored, and we're getting more data from, and it's a very common hand in hand with what we do, you know.
Yeah.
But I think with any surgeon, your complications, right, you know, need to be within what is the acceptable of global complications. And I always say that someone says they don't have complications as failures, then they're either lying or they're not doing enough of what they are supposedly meant to do. But is then there to be there for the patient in the recovery phase, and to see it through.
How do you handle those cases when someone goes to a cheaper country where these operations are done a dime a dozen? Turkey is very popular for that. How do you deal with surgery done overseas, gone wrong? Now I'm going to come knocking at Dr. Deon's door and say, please rescue me. How do you, because I know like there is some level of consideration that you as the plastic surgeon must consider.
It becomes very difficult, because now for the first time almost, it seems like the patient has done their research. You know, now that they're sitting a week later, being discharged from the country on a flight back, arrives, wound problems, and now they're in a position where they have to do research about what potentially could go wrong. So you're confronted with that, and you don't know what the surgeon has done in that area. So because you weren't the one there doing it. So this needs to be explained very, very thoroughly to the patient person, and small steps to just do what needs to be done to bring whatever situation is under control, and not expect, if there is botched surgery from an appearance point of view, in that setting, now to make promises of, okay, well, now we're going to achieve that. You know, especially sooner after, often the patients from these countries, when they present back, it is shortly after arriving back, because I've looked into the schedules there. It pretty much, most of them go away, they have their surgery a week later, and really a week later I don't feel is enough, but they're back. It's a foreign language, and often their communication with the country where they went to is to say, well, you need to see a surgeon in your own country now. And you know, I think that leaving someone in that situation is, anyway, I can understand where the person is. I mean, often it's not easy a road, but we'll be there to manage, like I say, what needs to be managed from a medical, life-threatening almost point of view. And then later schedule, when there's time on the list, later schedule, seeing that patient to maybe do minor but small bits to rectify.
If you were to guide someone on what they must always check before they make the choice to go, you know, to book that flight to Turkey and put themselves be exposed in that way, what would you say? Maybe if you can give them 3 things, like, think about this, look at that, be aware of this.
I would say, well, I don't know about 3, maybe some 2 others will come, but the one immediate one is what is your long-term follow-up? What is your long-term communication and connection with someone who is making such a permanent change to your body? Because if that isn't there, if that is there for that week, and they can't guarantee you and tell you this is something, no, we're still in contact with you, we see you then, there's a, you know, I also see patients from abroad, but we have continual contact with those patients, and not that we often have to use them, but we make sure we have communication with doctors in the patient's country where they might be coming from beforehand, so that should there be any continuity concerns, that there is medical care that we've already alerted them to beforehand. So I really would, if you want to have something so intense done to your body with such a permanent outcome, such a permanent result, that person must be there to follow it through going forward, at least
Okay.
for the 6 months, in
Yeah.
some way be there to guide that process.
Yeah.
And I would say, yeah, and just also know if you go there, are they speaking your language? Is it easy to communicate? Because you're communicating about things on your body, on you know your wellness, your health. Surely you must have a ease of communication, and if that doesn't appear to be there beforehand, then I think that also should raise a question.
And what about seeking references?
Yes.
To talk to patients that have had the procedure. Is there a platform? I mean, Hello
Yeah.
Peter holds all complaints in
Yes.
South Africa. Are there platforms where such
I think that
reviews are done?
one should always, yes, I think references are good, but I think that one should have more than one reference.
Okay.
And I would sincerely say that if your reference is an influencer, is to contact the practice and have just regular potential
People,
references that they
yeah.
potentially can refer you to. Because one should sometimes ask under what circumstances has that person agreed to be a referral source.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunately a fact. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think that there should then be more accessible, random sources to say this was sincerely my journey. You can
Yeah.
trust, and
Yeah.
I felt safe at all times.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the most ridiculous requests that have come your way. Obviously within the realms you can share, but what's been is there like the most expensive, procedures that have been done to one person, and how did you handle that over what period of time?
Yeah,
A long list of for me, I know I joke and I'm like, I want to do my arms, I want
Yes.
to do the back where the bra sits, I want like my thighs, I want to pull them in
Yes.
so they have a gap, and then by the time I'm done, my partner is like, who are you going to look like after this?
I think that some of the most ridiculous requests have come, with specific body parts, like lengthening of toes. And it wasn't a particularly very short toe, so I wasn't quite, because nowadays we also have like online consultations where patients can send us their desires beforehand, and we can already guide them as to, so there was the lengthening of toes, which was a bit of a peculiar one, and sometimes the when it comes to implantable devices,
Yeah.
and prosthesis, like for breasts, the sizing there as well.
Yeah,
Pretty much a liter per breast is the maximum of volume in a silicone implant
What
that
do you
we
mean?
placed. So a liter, 1,000 mils
Yeah,
of volume of silicone
yeah,
in an implant,
yeah.
which is quite a size. It can work. You'd be
Yeah,
surprised on
sure.
some bodies where you would think, proportion-wise, that looks proportioned and in balance. But in most individuals, a kilogram per breast is quite a large implant.
Yeah.
So it's and I think there sometimes again the request might not come from the patient or indirectly come from the patient, but the spouse is the one doing all the calling and the arranging.
Really? I love it.
So then when it comes to the consultation, it
Yeah.
becomes very interesting to guide the process and
Because the
to
spouse is also equally participating.
Yes.
Yet it's not their body.
yes. So
And how do you navigate that? Because what in a way what you're saying reminds me of a conversation I've had with a friend of mine who is an incredible wedding planner, who talks about how parents, the mother of the bride, the list is long, the
Yes.
requirements are intense, and how difficult it is to navigate that,
Yes.
because yes, we must hear the mother of the bride, but the reality is it's not her wedding.
Yes,
It's her
yes.
daughter's wedding.
Exactly.
So how do you navigate
Navigate that.
that in consultation in a way that really just takes care of the contract you have with
Yes.
the client.
Well, often then, obviously, for those consultations, the spouse, let's say that's the circumstances, spouse,
Yeah.
and sometimes a mother, but the spouse will be there. And obviously, but I make sure that I turn my chair directed exactly at the patient, and that the vast majority of eye contact,
Is with the
90%
patient.
or more, is made with the patient, and every now and then reflecting to the spouse to basically subliminally or to say, this is where this relationship is, and that I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm not too, because this needs to be of a certain, and yeah, it's I think sometimes you see quite a bit happening in that consultation. Sometimes the spouse can become uneasy, never has become abusive or stood up and left, has actually become more and more wanting to be drawn in, but and that's important, because that's exactly who I am operating, is this human being sitting here, not you. So, and she needs to be, if that's the situation, comfortable, and I need to make sure that they are on board, given whatever dynamic is at play. And it has been said that yes, there are some times where I can see that, how can I put it, that I've lost, and that they can see what the impact is going to be, let's say, of that ridiculous example of a liter of implants, and that I still fear that they will go ahead not really to please the spouse in a way.
Yeah. And have you seen cases where, like I think you mentioned earlier, that the patient is now addicted? And I see this. I mean, there's obviously a lot of reality shows on plastic surgery, and just you see people progressively wanting to do more and more and more and more and more.
Yes.
Have you seen that happen
Yes.
in some of the cases you deal with?
I think you can see that. Like I said, I try to rein that in on my sort of relationship if I'm involved from the outset. But often I would see patients who come to me who've had multiple procedures, and I really try. Most of those patients have had so many surgeries that I am not able, in a good way then, to convince them that I'm going to be able to give them the outcome that they are seeking. But that is more one which I think is on a body dysmorphic level. If I'm talking about addiction, it is more the multiple small things that gets done. Also ultimately maybe resulting in an unnatural appearance, but still one that's not, I don't know, a botched job, if you want to call it that. The person still looks pretty. They don't look human necessarily. They don't look old. It's like these specific facial features now that you also get, where it's excessive lips. You can see that the eyes it's very frozen at the eyes. The cheeks are done. It's almost like this paint by numbers kind of picture, which is supposedly pretty, but it's not pretty because it's not very authentic, and the character of the person has been lost, which I think is so sad. And yes, it's there. It's this desire of, what do I need to look like to be able to fit in society?
Sure.
And it's I think sometimes I ask the question there, how much are we fueling that as the physicians, as the surgeons who are performing these surgeries? Why are we doing that? Why are we agreeing that it is right for people to conform, to have to look a certain way, but then everyone looks generic and like themselves? They all look pretty, but they don't look like their character anymore. So that is something which is sometimes difficult to navigate. But and sometimes that's really the patient's desire, and you can see that they are, well, by the return of coming for more treatments, that are happy with that appearance and that result. So you've achieved that, but what have you achieved in the greater scheme?
I know. And how do you deal with patients who are not happy? I mean, it's easy with the food in restaurants. It's just like, I'll take your plate back.
Yes.
Let me make you a fresh steak.
Yes.
How do you deal with clients who are presenting an outcome they are judging as having failed?
Yes.
And how do you kind of navigate that scenario?
Yes. Well, you you take it back to what was explained at the consultation and the expectation that was created, which is why I said that is what I find myself doing a lot of, is setting expectations and managing expectations. Not only maybe for the long-term outcome, but for the immediate outcome.
Yeah.
What am I going to feel like in a week?
Yeah.
You said I'm going to be smiling and at home, but here I am, I'm in pain, and I'm in, so it's managing those expectations all the time. And then seeing how much of the bargain, how much of that deal did I fail at not managing the expectation correctly, either by setting it or achieving it. And then reacting and acting accordingly.
Yeah.
And if it means that I feel and I can see that their concern is, let's say, the hourglass shape that they wanted, and I agree, the left side has sort of a bit more residual fat 6 months down the line compared to the left side, then there's a interaction to then say, okay, we can, with a smaller procedure, further improve on that. But I think that a lot of patients are open to that because most of the expectation, the major transformation, has been achieved, and how they're already living, and you can see that in how they're wearing their clothes and how they're presenting themselves, they're already enjoying a different. So it's almost like they're still worried about a bit of residual fat.
Yeah.
We're checking their weight, so we're just making sure they're bringing their deal of the bargain as well.
Yeah.
They're not picking up. They're feeling so much better, and they're happy, and they're happy to have a smaller procedure, maybe as a touch-up in the rooms. To address that.
Yeah. Have you had cases that have given you sleepless nights?
Indeed.
Are you serious?
Many.
Oh my God. Give us one scenario that's given you a sleepless night.
So, no, there's a lot that, like the surgeries are long. They're sometimes 6 hours long under general anesthetic. And it's not that then gives me a sleepless night, but it's definitely on my mind when I finish a list and I go home and what's, is that patient's recovery. But one typical example of a sleepless night that also happened a while ago is a patient coming for a facelift.
What?
So we're doing a
facelift?
Yes. So we do the facelift in the rooms, patients under deep sedation, completely asleep and unaware. And I'm injecting local anesthetic on the right side of the face. And I'm injecting, and then we're doing that side, finishing, doing the surgery, incision, lifting, closure, then turn the face to complete the other side, and then injecting local anesthetic on that side. But now when the patient wakes up, the one side of the face, the one that we did last with the local anesthetic, is drooping and hanging and slurring. And I'm like, I hope this is the local anesthetic versus I hope it's not. And I know it's not a nerve injury. Yeah. Because I backtrack my moves and I think about what was done. But every time when I walk past the patient while they're in the recovery, I just can't help but look just to see if the face no.
And you have to hold a posture.
And you have to hold a posture. I'm confident. Like I said, I backtrack my steps. But the only time that I really will know is that next morning when they check in and the local anesthetic has worn off. And I can then see the symmetric smile. So sleepless night number one.
And how do you distress when you get home? What are your routines?
Oh, my
because
routines.
You are in a very, very high stress environment, handling people's lives.
My routine is just to unwind with my kids, my furry kids, my dogs, and basically just have some chill music around, low lightning, nothing to do with plastic surgery. People often ask me, do you watch Botched? And I'm like, no, I don't. Why would you want to do that? That's what you see all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just, and it's connecting with friends, and it is, it's basically just everything then not to do with the industry.
What do you think is least understood about your industry by us?
I think I do think the one thing that people associate the most with plastic surgery, if I look at just a common, is the glamour. And I'm talking about cosmetic surgery.
Yeah.
Is the glamour. And I think the one that's the least understood then is that it's not as glamorous, ultimately. You see a lot of vulnerability on various levels, but a lot of vulnerability on behalf of the patient, that you actually put the patient in that condition, but you're there for them to oversee that. And that it's, you see patients really in their most vulnerable states, which isn't glamorous. But we'll get them back to glamour.
Yeah. And for patients who are struggling with sustaining the results, not because they are reckless, but because, I don't know, their bodies, their health, maybe their mental state of mind, how would you guide someone to, I guess, be kinder to themselves? Because doing surgery is one thing, but it's not everything.
Yes. Well, I think there again is to is to bring yourself back and to say that you know, you are actually in a boat with a whole lot of other people. Sorry,
No problem.
with a whole lot of other people who are in exactly the same position, who might not even have the means of having surgery to improve on, and they actually maybe doing fine mentally, better. I think that it's important to, surgery is not the only answer by any means, and that a lot of work or a lot of the growth done, let's say after surgery transformation, but let's say after having changes to your body, which has left you in a state which isn't considered to be attractive as according to current norms and standards, is that, you know, I take it back to someone that I saw when I was on a recent trip in Miami.
Yeah.
And I had two examples that I thought of. And one was a woman, she had stretch marks, she had a boob tube on, her midriff, her tummy was like showing, and she was walking and having so much confidence. And I thought, she's actually so much more attractive than
confidence.
the one who is, you can see, has had multiple treatments, procedures, looking perfect, but you can see the confidence, that this insecurity is still there. And that is then, if you actually think about it, someone's made up to proportions, the other one is completely out of proportion, but the one that's the one with the confidence is the more attractive one compared to the one standing in the corner that's still thinking, who's looking at me, who's judging me. So there's a lot that needs to happen on a level to be happy in yourself, that is not actually just guided by what people dictate, and which is why I said I've got a bit of a problem with how much are we fueling that.
This need and desire. I remember doing a business trip to a few countries when in my previous jobs, and I was struck in Angola by how the women loved themselves.
Oh, wow.
In their natural existence.
Yes.
They wore the dresses they wanted to wear, wore the accessories they wanted to wear, short skirt, long skirt, boob tube, arms out, arms covered. It didn't matter.
Yes.
And I was just so drawn to their energy.
Wow.
And I remember it stuck with me because I would come back and like, Angolan women are so confident in their bodies.
Yes.
And I wanted to have that confidence.
Yes.
So I can relate because it's so appealing for me. It's that joy you have inside because of who you are.
Yes.
And yes, you might want to add 1 cup size on, but it's not because you are, I'm going to say, seeking what you can never really fully attain.
It is playing, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to a medical service such as plastic surgery, but it's playing in life, and it's playing with your body in a responsible way. And then enjoying that, but not making that your joy dependent on that, and that you are nothing, before you achieve that. It's playing with life, and that's what life should be.
That's what it is. How would you, we're nearing the end now, guide a family that's having a conversation about surgery right now?
Yes.
Whether it is partners, parents, children, and, like me, I'm saying, to my family, hey guys, when I turn 50, I want to do this and this. What support in the way they ask questions from me should they consider? Because I think a lot of times I have found if I'm chatting with my mom, I'm like, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful as well,
Yes.
which I love. I mean,
Yes.
thank you, Mom, for
Yes.
saying that.
Yes.
Or, I will talk to my partner, no, but you're perfect as you are. I'm like,
Yes.
well, thank you for saying that.
Yes.
But here's the thing,
Yes.
find a way to understand why I'm seeking what I'm seeking.
Yes.
What questions should they be asking of me?
Well, I think they should also be, if you are confident, and hopefully one should be in the surgeon that you have or the material that you've used, is to involve them in that process.
Okay.
As to why you're feeling that certain way, because yes, you get that all the time. Is I think you're perfectly where you are, or you're is from the husband, or but that still doesn't make it meaningful to that person. Why? And to involve them with the surgeon and bring them for the consultation. Because often I find then the husband would sit there, and then sometimes they're the quiet one, just checking me out, okay? And they would then have like a frown, and they'd be listening to what I'd say. And you can see that there's almost like this waiting for that moment where it's going to be, all he wants to make is just he wants another case to be done.
Yeah.
Because they obviously have a lot of care, and there are a lot of, they don't want their loved one to go through something which is going to put them through pain for something which they find is attractive or completely fine in them. But I often then see these partners, the ones who are truly invested in the happiness of their partner, their loved one, that they then warm up to it and they become involved, and then they become excited as well. So bring them along to the consultation. If it is someone who's got your best interest at heart as a surgeon as well, the one that's got your best interest at heart as a loved one will connect on that level, because we both have the same thing, best interest at heart, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it becomes much more easy and less but if there's another motivation as to why, that person might still be saying that, but there might be another dynamic as to why the person's wanting surgery. Like, let's say there is struggle in the marriage, that you can also feel in a consultation. And the husband comes along, and you can feel you haven't won, because sorry, but something else is being needing treatment.
Yeah.
And there won't be openness. And then, yes, that is actually a place to say, look, you are going to undergo the surgery. This is what it's going to mean for you. It's not going to save your relationship. If it is that your thought, that's not a reason to do it.
It's not a reason to do it, yeah.
But if you're still there to play, it's something that you wanted to always do, something that you have been wanting to do for, then it will bring you joy, but it's not going to give you that.
Yeah. Wow, that's the end. Cheers to failure.
Cheers to failure.
With Dr. Deon. Thank you so much.